Major General David McLaughlin, State President of the RSL, Mike Annette, CEO of the RSL Victoria, veterans, guests, media, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2015 launch of the RSL's annual Anzac Appeal. The Anzac Appeal is the most significant way by which the RSL raises funds. Those funds are then in turn spent on the assistance required and the welfare of current and former serving personnel. 2015 obviously being the centenary, 100 years since the Gallipoli landings, a tragic and of course significant day in the history of our country. The 2015 Anzac Appeal we are anticipating to be our biggest ever. The Victorian public are enormously generous, but it is critical that we do acknowledge and recognise all of the contributors to the appeal, those being our volunteers that work tirelessly to sell the badges that we'll launch today. Without further ado, I'd like to invite the State President of RSL Victoria, Major General David McLaughlin, to come forward and say a few words.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Anzac Day 2015, the centenary of that very significant landing of young Australians and New Zealanders on the shores of Gallipoli, where we struck for our nation a significance that still resonates right throughout the society today. Here in Melbourne this year, we will commemorate that landing 100 years ago with a very, very large dawn service here at the Shrine of Remembrance, and of course the Anzac Day March, where we will incorporate into the rear of the march this year the parade of medals of medals that were won by those people that served at Gallipoli 100 years ago. And we would hope that the descendants who will wear those medals will remain then for the commemorative service here at the Shrine of Remembrance following the march. It is a big day in the calendar of our nation. Every year it seems to get bigger, and I believe this year it will dominate everything that's happened in this 2015 year. The Anzac Appeal, as you've heard earlier, is a significant fundraising activity for the RSL here in Victoria to allow us to carry out the objects of the League. And those objects primarily are to look after the welfare and the betterment of the serving and ex-service men and women of the Australian Defence Force, of whom we are incredibly proud. The money that we receive through the Anzac Appeal is used to assist them in many ways, through advocacy, pension work, making sure they get their entitlements, assisting them when they are in dire straits, and in many cases being able to look after their final departure as they go from this world. We are very indebted to the Victorian public for the support they provide to the Anzac Appeal, and we encourage you to participate on Anzac Day this year to commemorate the brave deeds of the men and women of the First World War and all of those who have served and given their life in the defence of our nation since that time. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And our next speaker is a contemporary veteran, Scott May. Scott, you will see featured in our television commercial and also our online video content that we're also making available as from today. So would you please welcome Scott.
Ladies and gentlemen, veterans in the audience and the media, I'd like to welcome and thank you for allowing me to speak. I want to tell you a story. The headlines read war. The young man didn't know it, but he didn't really know what that meant. His older brother was a light horseman and he's off to fight the war, and he's fine. The young man was not yet 17 and had his parents sign papers to join the army. It was going to be a great adventure. He'd heard all so much about it. The comradeship, the exotic places, the excitement, it was going to be grand. He packed his belongings diligently the night before. His mother fussed over him while his father stoically shook his hand and told him to look after himself. The young man boarded a carriage. He was away. He was off to write his part in the Anzac legacy. 6 months of early mornings, pack march, vigorous exercise and being told to hurry up regardless of what he was doing. He was a good soldier, a crack shot with his service rifle, and he could march with the best of them. his civilian life behind him now, he was becoming a soldier. Time passes quickly. There is no time to be bored. The young soldier had been training hard with his mates. He wears his slouch hats with his emu plumes waving proudly in the wind. He's a light horseman now, just like his brother. He's posted to the same squadron. The young man and his brother are together for only just a few months before he is needed elsewhere. The time has come. He's needed for the war effort. It's a long journey to the staging area where it's hot, dry, the sand and dust covers everything. The young soldier arrives feeling worn out from all the travelling. He's given a few short days, a few pointers from some of the old hands who have been to the front before. They show him where to put his bandages, how to wear his pack. The day comes, he's given his orders, they embark tomorrow. The trip to the front is brief. A sense of excitement and worry fill the transport as the young soldier and his mates travel into the unknown. They're coming in at night, so the lights as they approach the front are blacked out. Finally, the doors open. The cool night air hits the young soldier in the face. The place is abuzz with activity. Stores are hurriedly unpacked. Artillery missions are being fired overhead. This is it. The young soldier's at war. The months go by, the young soldier conducts his patrols on his mounts, checks stores, files reports. There are days when the fighting is heavy and his mates are hurt. He hears about a bloke he didn't really know. He met in passing but heard that he copped it this afternoon. The young soldier learns that war is no game. It's not like the posters. It's not what you see in the paper. It's hard, dirty, dusty, bloody work. It's not fun at all. The young soldier has done his bit and returns home from his great adventure. He's changed a little. His mates don't get him. No one seems to understand why he's so grumpy. He's relieved to be at home in one piece. His dad is keen to hear all the stories, whilst his mother would rather not. Months go by, the war moves on without the young soldier. The list of war dead grows, scores of his fellow soldiers are injured. He's training a new batch of troops that are keen to join the war effort. He lives a relatively normal life, works relatively normal hours, lives with carpeted floors in a house, doesn't sleep in a swag in the mud and dirt. One day, the young soldier is told he's needed for the war effort again. Back to the front, so many thousands of miles away. Again, the young soldier packs his bags. He sings and sets for another adventure, only this time, he's not so eager. He's seen what war is like. For the second time in the young soldier's life, he collects a rifle, ammunition, a gas mask. He trains with his fellow soldiers for a few weeks, and he's sent back to the fighting. It's a few months now. The young soldier is on his mount, returning home from a long patrol. He's in front of his troops. He's leading the way. That's a dangerous place to be if you're not on your toes. The young soldier doesn't remember much. A searing pain, a cracking headache. His friends rush off their mounts, people checking for blood, soldiers with rifle poised at the ready for a fight, a medical evacuation. The young soldier's war is over. Now, this story is not fictional. It cannot be found in history books yet. You won't hear your granddad tell you about it over a beer at Anzac Day. This story is about my younger brother Christopher, sitting in the front row right here, who struck an IED in Afghanistan. The reason that I wanted to tell you this story is that the Anzac Appeal not only relates to the veterans from past wars, but like everything, we're celebrating our centenary. We're celebrating past accomplishments and past wars that other veterans have served in, but there's also a new batch of veterans out there that are taking over the Anzac legacy. They want to carry it on, and they also need help. So with the Anzac Appeal, by buying a badge, it enables us to look after those that need the continual support, but look after those that now need our support. So if I could urge everyone out there to buy a badge, not just for those that have fought in past wars, but those that are still fighting their own wars today. Thank you very much.